What's going on, guys? Welcome to Alignment First, where we're on a mission to bring leaders back to their peace, presence, and power. And I have the honor and pleasure to sit down and chat with Christalyne Causey, former burned out healthcare worker turned med spa owner and performance-focused health strategist specializing in the intersection of hormones, metabolism, and human behavior. Shout out to Scottsdale Living. That's what brought our circles together. And first and foremost, hey, thanks for making the time to be here today.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.
For sure. You delivered an amazing presentation at Scottsdale Living with regards to how hormones impact literally everything in the human experience. But before we get into the nuts and bolts of all of that, and you as the subject matter expert in the field, I'm curious, why'd you leave healthcare to start your own deal?
Well, first off, I went into healthcare probably because I was told to. Um, I'm a first generation, and I think it's a immigrant's dream to have their daughters be nurses and their sons be doctors. And I just followed the path I was told to. I love helping people, but ultimately, after 12 years in it, I just didn't feel like I was actually helping anybody. I was very, very frustrated, kind of felt like I was beating my head up against a brick wall. In my opinion, healthcare is ran by insurance companies and administration, and neither of those two branches know anything about patient care. And it was just very discouraging. I didn't feel like I was helping anybody where I was. Not to mention, I knew that I wanted a family.
Yeah.
And I was working 12s, which is not really conducive for children. 3 to 4 days in a row. I would probably was gone from the home 14 to 16 hours a day, very tired all the time, often working night shifts. And I knew that for my own self, my own health, and myself as a future mother, I did not want that life.
Interesting. I find it genuinely interesting because my mom retired from the Air Force as a CNO equivalent.
Okay.
And the saving grace of that career trajectory is you get promoted out of 12s. You can't run a hospital working 12s, and at the same time you're not going to find a full bird colonel. And I know that you've got a military lineage as well. You're not going to find a full bird colonel on the floor working 12s. You know what I mean? So you're kind of safe via promotion from that dynamic that you're talking about. And I can totally see where the burnout comes from. In your 12 years on the floor, were you all over the hospital? Did you specialize in any particular department? Let's talk about where you were at for those 12 years.
For most of it, I was in the ED or the ER for most people, which is why the long shifts came in. I did traveling nursing, so my rankings didn't necessarily increase over time because I was bouncing around from hospital to hospital all across the country. And I did do a little bit of time in outpatient, different types. I did like outpatient spinal surgery, which was very interesting for me. But the clinic itself wasn't a good fit. And then we moved, it didn't matter anymore. And then I've also worked a lot in eating disorders.
Okay. The capital T trauma associated with so much of that. Did that also play a role beyond the hours and the schedule in terms of leading to burnout?
Yes. And much of that was like, I never wanted to become hard. And I saw that happening around me wherever I went. It's inevitable if you are seeing the things that we see in in the trauma field. But I found myself still like, I have the ability to push through to do what I need to do in the moment. But as soon as, calm starts to set in, I was having massive meltdowns. Like, I need to go cry in the closet for a little bit. Or I would get off a 4-day shift and be just in comatose, not wanting to talk to anybody. Like, I need to decompress and process what I just went through before I have to go back.
Yeah.
And that's not fair to a partner.
When you talk about becoming hard, is it as simple as like the rose-colored glasses of helping people and caretaking and all that kind of good stuff kind of gets removed and you're just like, it's just another day of work? Or what does it look like to become hard? Because I know what that looks like from a Marine perspective when you've had one too many deployments, but what does that look like in the hospital?
It's very much the same. Having since worked with several veterans, it's very much the same. You learn to compartmentalize. A lot of it isn't fully processed. It becomes just a part of reality. And it's almost like a type of cynicism.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be cynical about it.
Yeah.
There are certain people who can go into a situation like that and not change, but I think that they're a special breed.
Yeah, they're built for it.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was not built for it.
Well, what's showing up for me, and I think this is like particularly profound in that, what shows up or what ends up manifesting as post-traumatic stress disorder is the aftermath of, said traumatic event on the battlefield. And then you escape, whatever the danger is, the engagement with the enemy is over. And then instead of, creating space or having the luxury to sit and process, you're on to the next mission. And I had not put it together until listening to you right here, right now, that same dynamic of, oh my God, like I just saw something 100, like totally horrific that is like not commonplace in human society. And now I have to go treat the next person who is just as traumatic, if not worse. And that on repeat, I can only imagine is even worse or exponentially more difficult to process than the isolated incidents that occur in a 7-month deployment.
Yeah, I don't like to say, like, again, the big T, little t, one person's trauma is different than another. Like, but if we were to break it down into biology, which is how I eventually ended up processing everything, like that, we all are experiencing constant cortisol drops. It's a cortisol and adrenaline come in to help us survive. Doesn't matter what the situation is, whether you're, under fire or you have an inflow from a car accident and you're having to treat, it doesn't matter. Your body is being rushed with a chemical to help you focus and survive. And ideally, that chemical has the opportunity to dissipate later so that you can process it, so that you can calm down. But it doesn't, the military is the same way during deployment. You rarely get full recovery. Not to mention you're not allowed to, like, there's no, let's sit down and talk about it for an hour afterwards. You've got to move on to the next thing. This isn't a circle where we can share our feelings.
Right.
And that's where people, it doesn't matter if it's civilian life or not. That's where we all start to sort of get messed up, is not having that ability to decompress.
Yeah. So here's my question, because I think this is like somebody who is equipped and aware with the knowledge and the knowing that you have. when you have that genuine understanding of what's happening at a biochemical level in that environment, the cortisol, the adrenaline, all of that, does that knowledge help you manage these scenarios, or does it, like, what it does it help you, or does it like inhibit your ability to manage those situations?
Now it helps me. Then
Okay.
I didn't have the knowledge.
Okay.
I went back to grad school after all of
Uh-huh.
that. And a lot of my research in like continual deep dive into this subject was because
Mm-hmm.
I was struggling with what I didn't know was PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't figure it out. I knew I was very sensitive to hormones, uh, like from birth control experiments and whatnot that we go through, but I didn't understand until I was in my graduate program just exactly what I was experiencing. And I it was my own curiosity that ended up leading me down that research path.
That's not part of like the emergency department curriculum, the resources of like a therapist, or some kind of psychological professional to help you guys manage that rigor. Like, is that part of the culture, or is that like hopefully you come to these conclusions on your own and you can help yourself?
Well, having worked in dozens of different spaces, it is provided for some
Okay.
and not for others. But I will tell you, I was 18, like had been 18 for maybe a month, my first day on the job, and another 18-year-old boy came in and he ended up bleeding out. And I had nightmares for years about that boy.
Uh-huh.
Nobody ever talked about it. It was kind of addressed by my supervisor because I was obviously under training, but it was very glossed over, and we moved on to the next thing.
18 years old, were you like a candy striper or something like that, or
No,
is that even a thing anymore? Like, I think I just dated
I don't
myself.
know if that's the thing anymore. No, I graduated from high school early and I had several college credits. So I was actually done with my program before I turned 18, and
Oh, right
I had
on.
to wait to start.
Got it. Okay.
Yes. So I was very young and very ill-equipped for what I was going into.
Yeah, I think people discount, in the world of like we over intellectualize and over index academia. You see this with college athletes right now, because people are reclassing their kids, and so they can be bigger, faster, stronger for
Mhm.
the next level, whatever. And there's a component of emotional maturity and life experience that I feel like is underappreciated and underestimated when especially in situations like you're talking about.
For sure. For
Yeah.
sure. Like I went back to school at 30,
Hmm.
and while I wish I had had that education going through my 20s and everything,
Yeah.
I would not have had the maturity to know how to apply it properly. It was
Hmm.
experience that got me through that. And my
Yeah.
brain was finally fully developed too.
Sure. the uh so what did you end up going back to school for specifically?
Endocrinology
Okay.
with an emphasis in nutrition. So a lot of the work that I do now starts with nutrition, our
Hmm.
diets, and I sprinkle in lifestyle in there. But I'm a firm believer that if you don't have a healthy gut and a firm dietary foundation, nothing's going to work properly.
Hmm. Hmm. How does food impact your hormone profile?
Oh, it impacts it greatly because
Hmm.
it's your nutrient profile that plays a role in whether or not you can produce certain hormones,
Okay.
whether you have the support for them.
Tell me more.
Well, we can do testosterone. So since we have such a massive testosterone crisis going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the food that we're eating causes a lot of inflammation, which suppresses testosterone naturally. Inflammation also raises our cortisol levels. And when cortisol is on, testosterone cannot be produced. You need just basic foundational nutrients like zinc is essential. It's not that common when we're eating a lot of processed foods, very carbohydrate rich diets. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
not against carbohydrates. I just think that in general we overeat them.
Yep.
These things, they leach nutrients from our body when we are super inflamed. They're not providing any extra nutrients, especially the essential ones. And our body doesn't necessarily recognize fortified foods in the same way that it would natural ones. So
Right.
we're unable to get just the basics. And your body's going to do, it's trying to do, how do I put it? It's like the least amount of work possible. So it says, well, even though we're getting plenty of calories in, none of this is nutrient rich. So what can we get rid of, or what can we shut down so that we can function at the bare minimum? I mean, it's going to keep your heart beating. It's going to sort of keep digestion going. It's going to pick and choose what is essential.
Yeah.
And the rest of it's going to shut down. And reproduction, sex hormones, those aren't considered essential because you shouldn't be reproducing if you are malnourished.
Right. Right. We're going to bounce around a lot today. So before we go putting on our tinfoil hats and talking about microplastics and all the stuff that's out there in the zeitgeist right now, I really want to lean on you heavily for like something that gives the audience utility in the environment the way it is today. Because I feel like so much of the shit that's out there is like idealistic and very much out of reach for quote unquote normal people with the limited education that the average Joe has about this stuff. If we're going to optimize for just the way life is today, what are your top three to help people at least move the needle back towards balance?
My first would be to learn how to manage your stress levels. And one of the biggest things I can say that for you to do is lift weights. The things that lifting weights can do for us is amazing. Not just for, how you look, but the physiology behind it, the mental health behind it, the fact that muscle is your longevity tissue. It's essential. And just helping to calm your body under stress, that is a practice that we all need to have.
So that's number one is lifting weights. We're gonna get the other two. For people who are deconditioned, sedentary, that don't embrace an active lifestyle, it seems counterintuitive that if I'm already stressed to the gills, that resistance training, lifting weights is going to introduce more stress and have a compounding effect on an already negative situation.
For those people, and that's where I say managing your stress, and I put lifting weights under that umbrella because it's so beneficial. But for those people, most of them, I'm just like, can you go for a walk? I think walking is highly underrated. And learning how to walk without any stimulation. I love listening to podcasts while I'm on a walk, but that's a distraction, especially if you're highly stressed. I want people to like go on a walk. This is like an active meditation. It helps to calm things down. And just being able to be with yourself without any distraction at all. Plus you're getting physical activity. It's a double bonus.
Yeah. Do you think that people are so unfamiliar with being bored? Because numerous times in these conversations I've had, there's this this idea that we've lost touch. We're out of touch with our body. We don't know how to feel anymore. Like that is a very unfamiliar activity. And I feel like that's compounded by the fact that we just don't know how to be alone with ourselves. Is that something that you experience in your practice with your clients?
Yes, we have a huge dopamine stimulation problem right now.
Mm-hmm.
Most people constantly have a phone in their hand that's going off multiple times a day. They're consuming at an extremely high rate. You've got the TV on, you've got music playing, podcasts going. We feel like we're behind unless we're consuming something.
Mm-hmm.
But in reality, we're just looking for dopamine hit after dopamine hit. And the second that we feel silence or aren't around something, we have an instant withdrawal. So it's almost a feeling of panic that's kicking in. And it's a form of addiction.
Yeah. Is that spike in cortisol that you were referring to earlier? Is that also part of this dynamic? That panic?
The panic, yes. Think about like somebody coming down off of a high. Mm-hmm. They instantly feel it all over their body.
Yeah.
And
okay.
Yeah, there's a withdrawal that's happening.
Yeah. I've never thought about it like that. Okay. So weightlifting, being active, movement at a minimum. Okay.
Yes.
That's number one. What's number two?
Number two would be doing the best that you can to consume high quality foods. Mm-hmm. And I'm not the type of person that's going to tell you like, you need to eat all organic, grass fed, this and that. That's not, most people can't do that. Mm-hmm. But you can eat whole foods. Mm-hmm. Whole foods can actually be a lot cheaper than processed foods.
Bust the myth for me right here, right now, and say it loud for the people in the back.
Yes, whole foods, cook them yourself. I have boys who they're like mini linebackers already, but I know we go through a dozen eggs like every other day, a few pounds of hamburger. Mm-hmm. My grocery bill is still less than most people that are just individuals. It's because we don't do processed food. Mm-hmm. And I cook in bulk because I don't have time to do it every single day. I understand that that's a thing too. There are ways around it.
Yeah.
But it is more affordable if you know how to do it correctly.
Yeah. I'm not asking you to be an economist here, but why does that myth persist that it's so expensive or more expensive to eat healthy?
I think, I don't know. Mm-hmm. Because I grew up again, like immigrants, we lived on a farm, poor. My grandmother canned everything. She was very budget conscious, and eating out or processed foods, chips and whatnot, she's like, that's not going to fill you up. Mm-hmm. This, vegetable that costs half the price is going to feed 5 of you. Mm-hmm. I think it's a matter of convenience and that we've taught ourselves that. And once upon a time, fast food may have been cheaper, but if anybody's gone through McDonald's lately, it's not anymore.
Yeah.
So I think we just need to get past that.
Right. Okay. Love it. So as close to whole food as possible, as much as possible.
Yes. And as much of a variety as possible. Okay. Like we're lucky that we live in a city where, we have options galore as far as grocery stores, produce available, whatnot. That's, again, not the case for everybody, but trying not to eat bodybuilder style where it's the same 3 foods over and over again.
I feel so seen right now.
Like, we could have an entire podcast on me just breaking down how horrible bodybuilder lifestyle is.
You will get no argument from me.
But you want to get as many different nutrient
Mhm.
opportunities as possible.
Okay, so on nutrient opportunities, in like there's a lot of purists out there that are like, obsessed with like how our ancestors used to do it, and you shouldn't be able to eat strawberries year round. And moving, like, there's this sect in the diet community of like seasonal eating.
Hmm.
Is there legitimacy to that? Is that easy to do? Is that a simple way to manage your intake? Like, oh well, if it's strawberries are in season right now, that's what I should be eating, but not like in December.
I think from a nutritional standpoint, the
Mm-hmm.
strawberries in June are going to be much more nutrient rich than the strawberries in December.
Mm-hmm.
However, we also have the opportunity to get certain nutrients in at certain times of year where we didn't before. There used to be, if we're still going to argue about ancestral times, there used to be times of starvation and then feast. And we are lucky in the fact that we can get berries year round if needed. Are they as nutrient rich as they should be in the middle of winter? No.
Mm-hmm.
But if that's what you want to eat and can,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to argue with it. I mean, that is not something that I think is worth fretting about.
Yeah.
I'm
Cool.
more concerned, like, if you're going to be that nitpicky, why don't you
Mm-hmm.
take some of like the hormones and stuff
Mm-hmm.
out of your diet, the added sugar?
Mm-hmm.
Those are the things I would rather you hyper focus on.
Sure. So prioritize resistance training, but at the minimum, move more, get as close to whole food nutrition as possible with as much nutrient variety as possible. And what's number 3?
Number 3 would be sleep. And actually, I should have put that as number 1, but I don't know. I really wasn't thinking about them
Mm-hmm.
in
In
order.
no particular order. Yeah, all
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
But
What happens when we sleep?
that's when your entire body can reset itself. You
Mm-hmm.
don't sleep, nothing's going to work properly. We see this in new moms. The average new mom ages 7 years in the time span of 1 because of her sleep deprivation on a cellular level.
Yeah. So in the first year of motherhood.
She ages 7.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that was like
I'm not even going to try to mansplain my way out of that. I just need to sit back and appreciate. I want to take that in. Keep going.
it was a huge slap in the face for me when I saw that. Neither of my boys slept well the first year. I physically felt that. And that's when I had been very lucky up until I had children, and that I always looked at least 10 years younger than I really was. And it caught up to me rapidly. It was a huge dose of reality. But looking at the research, it's averages 7 years. Those blessed moms that have good sleepers, maybe less. I probably was somewhere in the moderate range. But
Mm-hmm.
it's just goes to show you how important sleep is. Because you think about what it does for your tissue repair even.
Right.
We see it in athletes. If they don't prioritize sleep, they are more likely to have injuries. Their careers are a lot shorter. Even down the road, they're more likely to have ongoing pain with any past injuries because they did not recover properly at that
Mm-hmm.
time.
Yeah. Is there a bounce back from that, or is that a condition that you're just starting from there for the rest of your life?
There is such thing as sleep debt that you can repay back.
Uh-huh.
The last time I looked at, because they have been really trying to see like how far in the hole can you get and still recover. But I think the last time that I checked, it was about 2 years of sleep deprivation that you can recover from. But if you think about the number of hours that is,
Right.
like, you've got a lot of recovering if you say like me, I worked 12-hour shifts, often the night shift.
Mm-hmm.
There was years there where I had
Mm-hmm.
really wonky sleep, and then you have 1, 2, sometimes people have more, 3, 4 kids,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't never really sleep well after you have kids.
Yeah. Is there something to be said for circadian rhythm for like the shift workers out there, the night shift, the third shift? Even if you're hitting the number 7 to 9 hours of sleep in a 24-hour period, is there something to be said for when you get that sleep?
The research shows that shift work individuals tend to die younger. They
Okay.
tend to have more heart disease later on, cancers. There's something about it that impacts your health overall long term. I think that you never fully recover. I
Mhm.
saw it in my dad, who's been retired and still has a crazy sleep schedule.
Mhm.
Um, I think that even though I've been out of the night shift for a full decade now,
Yeah.
it's still a little messed up.
Mhm.
Um,
If we know these things to be true, why do we create these schedules that put us in such a deep hole for the people that are managing the care for those that are sick and injured? That doesn't make any sense to me from a systematic standpoint. You're actually compromising the patient care with a schedule like that, I would think.
you would, but it's like we need to have care 24/7. We need to have law enforcement 24/7.
Mhm.
Those tend to be the higher stress shifts too, which is really messed up.
Yeah.
And they do compensate them. Like there is a shift difference that you get paid, but there's not like extra vacation days added on.
Mhm.
And oftentimes we're also motivated to take on extra, especially when I was younger and broke all the time. Like, sure, I'll pick up an extra shift. I
Yeah.
haven't slept in a week. It's all good. I mean, I think about some of the residents that I worked with who, I mean, they were falling asleep in closets just to get a little nap in. Is that since then, laws have changed. They're capped out at 100 hours a week. But still, that's a
No big
crazy,
deal.
like, they're responsible for people's lives, but
Mhm.
we don't think about the negative impact that a lack of sleep has.
Yeah. I mean, as I was an air traffic control officer in the Marine Corps, and we followed FAA regulations in terms of manning the tower and doing the job. And like the things that you're talking about are like outlawed in terms of managing aircraft. Like the air traffic controller in the tower has the same restrictions that a pilot does flying an airplane. So the fact that that dynamic exists inside of a hospital system is absolutely crazy to me.
Yeah, and I've been out for a long time, so
Yeah,
I'm hoping that things have changed. There have been places that I've worked, and this is the benefit of bouncing around so much for so many years,
sure.
that some had a lot more stricter rules.
Mhm.
Like at 12 hours, you were cut off and sent home. Whereas with other places I worked, oh, we need you to stay for a little bit longer. And the next thing you know, you just pulled a 16-hour
I've
shift.
heard a lot of stories like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you've got, say, like, there have been so many times where I've had to pull over and take a nap because I was like, I'm not going to make it home without there being an accident.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
And it's
that's wild.
come, you do start to see errors start to happen.
Mhm.
And I don't want to blame some of the people that I saw, but I have seen things that could have been very life threatening. And it was
Mhm.
simply because that person was exhausted
Right, right.
and they just, weren't thinking correctly.
Mhm. Yeah. So let's shift gears to more lifestyle integration and the role that hormones play we talked about testosterone and, what a crisis we're in as far as that's concerned. If that's number one, what's number two in terms of what's off in society hormonally right now?
That would be our dopamine addiction.
Okay. Yep.
Most of us are addicts.
Mm-hmm.
It's that constant stimulation that we're getting. And you see it in multiple things. Like dopamine addiction can lead to burnout later on, where
Mm-hmm.
nothing's fully firing correctly. It interferes with our ability to form relationships because we're never getting deep enough for like oxytocin or vasopressin to set in, and those are that helps us to bond, helps us to feel happy. It interferes with serotonin. If dopamine's high, serotonin can't be high. So we're having this shift here, and you see it more and more. People are struggling with depression.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
So there's an inverse relationship between dopamine and serotonin.
if you're constantly having a dopamine release, those receptors end up getting blocked.
Okay.
So
Yep.
some of the receptors they share, or like some hormone receptors get turned off if another hormone is too high. It just depends on the type of receptor, and
Yep.
I don't want to give everybody a biology. We don't need a lesson here in that,
Yeah.
but yes, if dopamine is too high, other factors start to kick in, and hormones that we like and we want to be happy, to be connected, and to be good human beings, they can't perform.
Okay.
And then we see this in, like, I hear about it all the time, just in my line of work, the complaint about dating and dating apps. Dating apps are they're a casino for human beings. You're just in there pulling the slot machine lever over and over again, hoping for your next win, where you're not there's no strategy to it. You're not actually getting to know somebody. You're just looking for your next dopamine hit with your next swipe, and actually connecting to somebody feels boring because you're not able to get the oxytocin that you need from them. Does that make sense?
No, 100%. So it sounds like there's a dopamine is immediate versus serotonin, oxytocin, endorphins. There's a time release with the rest of them that's required.
Certain things need to happen first in order for those to work.
Okay.
To be released. And if dopamine's blocking those receptors too, even if they are trying to release them, it's not happening.
That's crazy. The fact that you're subconsciously or hormonally creating this expectation of dopamine is retarding everything that's supposed to happen after that. So I'm talking out of school here, but that hormonal cascade that comes with human interaction, like dopamine is like, oh my God, hot girl, like the fawning, right? And then everything that comes after that kind of solidifies the relationship hormonally can't happen because you've got such a peak dopamine experience still happening. Am I anywhere close to what's happening there?
No, you're right on it. And it's not just happening in like romantic relationships. I'll see it a lot in people who are like chronic networkers. The life of the party. They like to be in big groups constantly. That's a huge dopamine hit for them. When it becomes smaller and more intimate, that's when they start to panic. They don't get the same dopamine release. They're not able to connect with people in the same way. They're feeling more of like, again, that letdown, like you would as a drug addict. And then they're not able to even connect with friends or to make friends. And this is just perpetuating the whole loneliness epidemic that we have, where people are transitioning more to online because they can scroll through 50 different people in 5 minutes, whereas they're not ever getting to actually make a real life friend. And one real life friend spending just 5 to 10 minutes having a meaningful conversation can allow dopamine to come down enough for oxytocin to kick in. And oxytocin is our bonding hormone.
Oh, well, that's good to know. Like from a time release perspective, like it doesn't take forever. Like I don't have to spend an hour of my time to create that rebalancing. So that's reassuring. Like 10 minutes can start the process. You know what I mean? What
Provided that you're not too far in the hole. And it's a lot easier said for women than it is for men.
Oh, tell me more. Of course, there's a difference between men and women. Go ahead.
There is. We can bond so much easier. We can bond by being in the presence of people that we enjoy, having good conversations, eye contact. Men bond more through physical touch, and it takes a lot longer for them to bond via just presence. And a lot of that has to do with testosterone trying to shuffle oxytocin out of the way so it can have its turn. But it does happen for men. You need some touch involved. And
Yeah.
however, if you are like in a dopamine hole, if you're like the full-fledged addict, know that it's going to take time and practice to actually connect with people. You have to learn how to shut that off, to live with the withdrawal, and to start letting the other hormones kick in. And it's a practice.
Yeah. So as people come to you with these issues and these symptoms, and you're starting to help them solve these problems and come back to balance, what are some of your favorite, I don't want to say hacks or tools, but like what are your favorite remedies to help people out of that hole and get out of that deficit and restore that hormonal balance?
A lot of the time we address their hormones directly through diet.
Okay.
So if I have a panel and we can see like most people are low on testosterone, say a woman's going through perimenopause, her estrogen's a little out of the way. Those are things that we can easily start to work on and improve with simple things like improving their diet, getting them to exercise and move their body a little bit more, optimizing their sleep patterns. We'll start to see an improvement there. If through their behavior or the anxiety that they're telling me about, I think that they may have some issues with bonding or too much stimulus, that's when we'll practice not watching TV, not checking your phone for certain periods of time, sitting with yourself in silence, going for a walk in silence. Certain things where they have to kind of put themselves into an area of discomfort so that they can get themselves through the withdrawal process.
Yeah. When you propose these things, because at a surface level, they sound so elementary, just walk by yourself with no input. Like, do people like what is their response to the simplicity of some of these remedies?
I get a lot of scoffing at first. Um, and it takes some convincing to a certain point.
Yeah.
But I'm like, give me 10 minutes. Just go for a walk without your headphones, leave your phone at home for 10 minutes. And then I want you to tell me how that made you feel. And the amount of people that come back to me and be like, that was horrible. That was miserable. Or it started off really, really bad, but towards the end, I started to enjoy it, and they start to see or feel that shift. Then they start to think that I'm a little less crazy, or that I'm suggesting woo-woo things when I'm supposed to be the science girl. I get accused of a lot of woo-woo. Like like And that's why I start with go on a walk by yourself rather than I'm going to need you to hold your partner's hands and look into their eyes for 10 minutes. Can we do that? I
People
don't
would rather.
like just go on a walk by yourself.
Yeah. I'm I'm laughing because I have legitimately had conversations like that with clients, and they're like, I would rather face a firing squad than hold my
Mhm.
partner's hand and look them in the eye for 10 seconds.
Yeah. I'm like, "Can you give somebody a hug for 20 seconds?" And they're like, "Oh god, no. No, there's
Mhm.
nobody I wanna hug for that long." And I'm like, "Okay." But, you know, these are the things that we have to do, and
Mhm.
just like with anything, when we're trying to better ourselves or level up, there's gonna be some discomfort there. And
Mhm.
that's often what I have to explain to people. So I work with a lot of high achieving people, and they're coming to me because they're fried.
Mhm.
And I was like, "Well, you didn't get to where you are by, skipping through daisies. This wasn't easy for you. You went through discomfort already. I know you can do it.
Mhm.
This is no different than that." And you can't
Right.
expect even a drug addict to come down off of something. We're addicted to our phones. It's
Mhm.
messing with our lives. Anytime you're addicted to something, it's going to be hard.
Yeah. Well, I love the fact that your approach is one of which you're presenting the client with disconfirming information. Like, let me show you a circumstance or a pattern in the rear view mirror where you've already disproven to yourself that this is an impossible process, right? By virtue of you didn't get to where you are by doing it the easy way, so like this friction that I'm inviting you into, you've already demonstrated that you can persevere through it and come out successful on the other side. I love that because it is so underrated in the world of coaching, um to connect those cosmic dots, at the risk of being considered woo woo. It's like, no, you've already done it. Like,
Yeah.
there's the proof. So let's just take what you've already proven to yourself and apply it in this new context. That's amazing.
Yeah, and it helps, I think, too, especially when working with men. They're like,
Mhm.
"Oh, I can do hard things. Yes, you're right. I can do it. Even if this feels soft and fluffy, it is a hard thing to do."
Mhm. Yeah.
So,
So the way that these challenges present themselves, I'm genuinely curious in the difference between how women approach the this challenge of rebalancing and re-knowing oneself, and the way that manifests in men. What's the difference in terms of what they would experience typically?
so women often experience it in the form of exhaustion, anxiety. They know that something is wrong and they've probably gone to multiple doctors at this
Mhm.
point trying to figure out what is wrong. And they're looking for solutions because they've been dismissed so many times.
Mhm.
And for men, it's a very different approach. Most of them will actually come to me initially because they're like, I don't want to go on TRT, or I don't want to increase my TRT dose. And this clinic is telling me that I have to, like, that they keep upping it, but I don't feel like it's helping still. So
Mhm.
they're coming for a very specific thing, and then getting to talk to them and figuring things out. They're also experiencing burnout, exhaustion, like chronic fatigue. They just don't have that anxiety level. They're more frustrated at their, lack of performance, lack of motivation. So they're approaching it at a different level. They're very frustrated is the main
Mhm.
concern, whereas women are concerned that they're going crazy.
Mhm. Yeah. And what you're describing, I feel like if we could step into the woo for a second, is very much the the manifestation, the masculine manifestation, quite literally in men, that is very like forceful, like why can't I do the thing I'm here to do, versus uh the feminine manifestation in women, that is like the compromise of their ability to just be present.
Yes. Yes, very much so. Men are much more performance based, and those are
Mhm.
the complaints that they have. Whereas women, it's more of an emotional base. A lot of them are like, I'm snapping at my kids, or I can't focus on like being present with the family, or I'm exhausted all of the time and I just don't feel like myself anymore.
Mhm.
I'm not hearing the same, like, I'm not motivated anymore. I'm not as sharp as I used to be. Though I do hear a lot of like, I
Mhm.
can't remember anything. It's
Yeah.
not the same problems. It's more for men's, like, they don't have the same drive. And
Mhm.
that's what's bothering them.
Yeah, and I would imagine that differing dynamic sexually, if we're gonna identify a hormone imbalance, it's like like for a guy, I can't get it up anymore, versus a woman who's like, I don't know why I'm not attracted to him anymore.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, and while the same hormones are playing a role in both of
Yeah.
those, they reflect themselves very, very differently. Like, women are sexually more emotionally
Mhm.
driven, where, again, men are very performance driven.
Right. Mhm.
And the complaints are very different, but
Mhm.
it's all of the same root cause.
Mm. Man. Give me one more. What have we left on the table? Turn over that last stone for me.
Oh gosh, I don't even know. We've talked about so many different things.
I'm loving this conversation, and it has opened my eyes and created so many connections for me in terms of uh, the hormonal cascade that is crippling the way that we engage socially as human beings. Um, Again, like high utility, we're not getting away from our phones. Screens are a thing, they're here to stay. What are some better best practices to help bridge the gap and create a deeper human connection with that dynamic persisting?
I think that we need to make an effort to actually get out in the wild and interact with one another.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not discounting the psychology field at all, but we have this depression epidemic, a loneliness epidemic, and most people aren't addressing the root. They want to talk about their feelings. They want to like go deep into their childhood and all the traumas there. Well, they're not addressing like the biological input that they're experiencing right now and how that affects everything. Interacting with people on a regular basis, getting off of our screens as we sit here on a screen, um, that is going to do more for you than sitting in a therapist's office an hour every week is ever going to do. You
Mm-hmm.
need to actually take action and address the biology behind it. And I've noticed with so many people that I work with that have been through years of therapy sometimes, and they felt frustrated because they kept hitting a wall, were addressing their diet, getting them to actually go out with their friends rather than canceling on a repeated basis. Um, to exercise, get into the gym a little bit, get outside and get some fresh air. That did more for them than talk therapy did for years. And that can
Mm,
happen, like, they'll notice a difference within a couple of weeks. So I just think that we need to go take a step back from technology whenever possible. It's not
mhm.
going anywhere. In fact, it's
Right.
probably going to get worse.
Sure.
But if you have the opportunity, and get your
Mhm.
kids out too. Like,
Yeah.
I don't own a TV. My kids don't have iPads. Oh, I want them to be able to play. I want them to go outside like we did when we were kids.
Mhm.
And I notice even when they do watch a movie, once a week, the anxiety that they have in the day that follows. It's like,
Really?
if that's happening to a 4-year-old, what is that doing to me who's sitting on my computer for 8 hours a day?
Mhm.
I think that we're underestimating this. We know that kids react much more strongly to screen time and that we should limit it when we're young, but we're not applying the same thing as adults.
Mhm.
And we need to look at that and really, really start to think about what's going on.
Mm. Thank you so much for being here today. This has been amazing.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me and letting me
Yeah.
babble on.
No, 100%. This has been phenomenal. I think one of the things that I enjoy the most about this experience and being on this side of the microphone is my ignorance benefits everybody that listens. And you have presented so not just the issues at present, but also some really solid practical solutions that everybody listening can apply. So it really demonstrates the mastery of what you do. Christalyne Causey, everybody, where can the audience find you and glean knowledge from you and take advantage of all the things? Because you have you're relaunching your men's program. I know that your women's program is alive and well. Where can everybody gain access to all that?
Right now, it's all on my website, thebeareffect.com. I eventually hope to migrate the men's to their own, since everything is very girly
Mhm.
on the Bear Effect. But you can also find me on my socials. So the Causey Effect, which is my last name, that's where I have a lot of like the hormonal information on there.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I do weekly questions so that people can submit it. And if you have a really good one, I end up doing a long video on it because it's too much information to shove into a little snippet.
Yeah, right on. Amazing. Thank you so much for your time, your wisdom, your light, your energy. So grateful for it. And for everybody listening, remember, if your desire is to be the fittest leader possible, that's going to require o- um, integrity, courage, and ownership. And the foundation of all of it is alignment first. We'll see you next time.